Welcome back, everybody, to the Lindemann Outdoors Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Lindemann. Also with us today and every day, our co-host, the big man himself, Jeremy Lindemann. We got a fun one for you guys, Ep.4. We're going to do a little Q&A session. I put the word out on the Instagram. I had about a pretty good number of you, write in. So we're going to have a little fun and we'll answer your questions. And then we're going to do 2 posts this week. So we'll have this fun Q&A session. Then we'll do our fishing report as well, since we went fishing again last weekend and caught more fish. So anything to add?
I was waiting for my moment to jump in.
I can cut out what we need to.
No, I think we should leave that part in there because that'll be hilarious.
Uncut.
Yeah, it's you were talking about podcasts we're going to do, and I was like, geez, we could almost do 3 because of all the stuff we got going on, or 4 this week. So yeah, we'll see how it works out. I am heading out to fish the Devil's Lake fishing tournament at the end of this week. So I hate to gamble, but I need the money. So you know how that goes.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, the fishing's been hot, but hey, let's get to these questions from our loyal listeners. I appreciate all 15 of you out there. You are the best. There could be 30, there could be 60, there could be 0. We don't know. Could be, you know what? We could maybe secretly have like 10,000 people just in Australia listen to this podcast thinking like, wow, these dudes are awesome.
Well, to those in Australia, thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you to our brothers from down under.
I think we're going to keep these questions anonymous, just because I don't think we need to out people. But if you hear your question, we answered it.
Right on. The old anonymous. Remember Alcoholics Anonymous? I saw some of my friends the other day from there. I'm like, hey, Bill, good to see you. When's the meeting? When's the AA meeting next week? He's like, it's called Alcoholics Anonymous. Don't be telling people I'm there. I'm like, jeez.
Harsh.
Yeah, no wonder why nobody likes a quitter. Anyway.
Okay, the first question is favorite game to hunt.
You want to go first?
Yeah. I think mine would be whitetails. It's just, one, it's the most, I would say, just peaceful and just also exhilarating hunts you can be on. I love sitting in a tree and just being in nature and just being as quiet and still as possible and just waiting for that perfect moment. And I think there's a lot of work that goes into, deer hunting that goes unnoticed with food plots and scouting. And, I think you just don't get that in other hunts as well. I mean, obviously, like mule deer and elk are probably around the same, if not even harder. But something about just those big, deep wood bucks that are just really fun to hunt.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, whitetails are, every one of them's different. What's nice about them. It's, it's not the same. People think, oh, you hunt deer, it's the same every year. It's not. It's always different. Even like bucks, the racks they can grow, every one of them's different. Every buck is different. It's, the meat is good. They're difficult to hunt. It's challenging. It's interesting. It's pretty exciting. If we're just talking, what animals we like to hunt ourselves that we are hunting currently, I would have to say that for me, it's turkeys. I love turkey hunting more than anything else. It's the calling, it's the, them answering back, the decoying, the scouting, just like you talked about, just being out there when the sun's coming up, taking your friends and family out. For me, deer hunting gets to be kind of a grind because I probably take it a little too seriously, and all I care about is, I'm just grinding, busting my butt out there, scouting, hunting, going all over the place, trying to get a big buck with my bow. And for me, turkey hunting is a little more relaxing, but yet at the same time, I get that adrenaline rush, which I love, when I get a big tom coming in, and hard to beat for me. So
yeah, that's where we're different. Turkey hunting for me is stress. It is always just so intense.
Yeah, you don't get buck fever, but you sure as heck get turkey fever.
Oh, 2 years in a row shooting 2 big toms. I hit them on my second shot.
Yeah, and I've been with you, 20 times when we've been deer hunting, and I'm like, oh, there's one right out there, and before I can get the words out of my mouth, he's on the ground.
Yeah, deer, it's game time. I'm dropping that motherfucker. But turkeys, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's
I don't know, the gobble gets me. It just
well, it does. Well, it's the anticipation of them things coming in. They're gobbling, they're getting closer and closer, and they strut and they do all the stuff that they do.
Yep.
It can mess a guy up, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a sigh of relief and big deep breath after, because after I finally get one on the ground, because it's just so intense. I don't know, it's crazy. That's why I say I personally like whitetails, because I can just be.
It's more enjoyable.
Yeah, for me it's more enjoyable and not as much of. Don't get me wrong, I'm not shooting many turkeys in the face as I possibly can in my life, but yeah, it's intense.
Yeah, no, that's what makes hunting so cool, is that everybody has, what their thing is, what it, you got what makes you happy, and I got what makes me happy, and our buddies got their own thing too, and that's what's cool, is that we don't all have to agree, and we can all do our own thing, and it's all awesome. So,
yeah.
Amen to that, brother.
I think we probably, those who know us well will know who was asking this question, but craziest story while hunting or fishing, something you wouldn't want your wife to know. I don't know if we should say that, but I believe all hunters and fishermen know that there's been a couple moments where you're like, definitely not going to tell the wife or the lady at home what just went down, because almost didn't make it home. But
yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, Jacob.
Yeah, I mean, we're always safe. Nothing.
I've never experienced one of these situations ever.
We've never had to jump big ice breaks or skip a couple, 10 or 20 feet of water while ice fishing on our snowmobiles.
No, that
never happens.
No, just because the ice shifted and by shore and opened up a little bit. No, I don't remember ever having to do anything that was unsafe. There's no stories I can think of. It's completely safe. I mean, even this Saturday when we were out and we were looking at some of those big rollers coming at us with the boat, I was like, geez, this is kind of boring and hardly sketchy at all. I just,
Yeah, I mean, when you see a wave above the boat, it's not even that dangerous. Just
no, I thought, let's just all put our life jackets on because they look stylish.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. Not dangerous at all.
Cool. They're camouflage.
Yeah, I mean, they're neat. I wear one just around the yard sometimes just for fun.
Yeah, it's like a warm hug, Yeah.
So this question, whoever wrote this, that's weird that they would think that there's anything sketchy about hunting and fishing and, things that could go wrong or, extra risks being taken out there unsafely. We don't do that.
I mean, I think sliding down a cliffside in the snow coming near a 200-foot drop in the mountains is perfectly safe.
Well, I mean, that's why you slide, so you can control yourself so you don't fall off the edge. I mean, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Totally fine. I mean, taking a wrong turn out in the middle of the mountains, trying to, get back to the trailhead and
in the dark.
I mean, dark, so dark. Nothing wrong with that. Accidentally coming through someone else's property that's posted and,
in their backyard.
Wondering if the rancher is going to start shooting at you because, here you are. I was hoping, get the chance to explain that we are lost and just looking for the main road, which luckily for us, that's where that ranch was.
Through the driveway was the road.
We just popped right out where we needed to be.
So
30 minutes later, we were at Burger King.
Yeah, I've never heard a mountain lion scream down below in a river bottom where my father was hunting, and I decided I'm just going to walk uphill to the truck and wait till morning till he comes out of there.
Oh, to recover my body, you mean?
Yeah.
When you left me for dead?
Well,
that time? That was nice.
I was sitting at the top of the hill, and I was looking down, and 100 yards to the left, I heard a mountain lion scream. And to the right, 100 yards, were right about where your tree was, where I knew it was. And I was like, I'm sure he's fine.
That's not what you thought. You're like, he's dead. Oh, he's dead. He's lived a good life. He's lived a good life. I'm just gonna. Yeah. I felt like I was in the movie Step Brothers, and you had me in the hole, and I'm like, what are you doing? I'm burying you, but I'm not dead. You're like, yes, you are.
Awaken the neighbors.
Yeah, just left me there all by myself. I'm like, oh, you weren't going to come get me or make sure I was okay or just leave me for dead.
You were fine.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, we are father and son. So,
I would have told Mom that you got eaten by a mountain lion and I found your shoe. It would have been fine.
Just enough to collect the life insurance.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. I tell you what, really, I can really feel the love. Anyway, I had a listener send me a question.
Okay.
Their question was, how long do you think we could make it on the show alone?
Well, I know if I came home without the money, I would be sleeping on the couch for a long, long time.
I know that if I came home without the money, you kids would be like, what are you doing here?
Get back out there.
Get back out there. Did they know you left? Why are you such a giant pussy? Get out in the woods. No. You'll be fine.
I mean, I understand that show is very difficult and hard and they're in the Arctic, but I see some guys out there that are fishing every day and they're catching lake trout by 7 fish a day and they kill the moose and they're just loaded up on food and they're just like, I miss my family. And I'm like, that's a bunch of bullshit. Get the $1 million. Your family will love you more.
Yeah, whose family is this? Ours would never let us come back for ever.
I just watched this video. There are these two guys. There's this Mr. Beast video. He gave these two guys $10,000 a day to stay out in the wilderness. And they only made it like 60 days. And the one guy was just like, the one guy's wife, they let him see him after a while, and she was like, you need to come home. I miss you. And he's like, yeah, I think you're right. And I'm like, ugh, they only went home with like $300,000. I mean, yes, it's a lot of money, but you're getting $10K a day. I would have stayed out there for a year.
I would have, as long as the $10K kept coming, I don't think I would have left.
Yeah, no. I mean, maybe we're just cocky, but I also feel like if, especially a tag team, I mean, if you got two people out there and you're sharing the work and you have a good supply of food and you're warm and a good shelter, there's no reason to go home without the money.
If it's the two of us and one of us decided that we were going to go, the other would knock the other one out for sure.
At least get a couple more days.
Yeah. You'd wake up tied up in the corner of the cabin and be like, what do you like to do for fun? Oh, grunt and wiggle? Awesome. So we're doing today.
I'm going to keep you alive so I get your paycheck.
That's right. I'm taking the money. Yeah. So I thought that was a pretty funny question of how long could we make it? We would make it until we won, and then we would be allowed to come back home.
Yep.
And just not home, but friends. I mean, we could never show our faces if we didn't win that show.
Nope.
We would be teased until there was no tomorrow.
And also, I just see that as a good experience to lose some weight. I mean, we're both pretty big guys. I mean, this sounds like a good
beefy
excuse.
Yeah. We were looking at, trying to get some tall size T-shirts for our store, and we found the tall and beefy T-shirt.
Yep, tall and beefy.
Just as what could have said Lindemann on the back of it. It's the same damn thing.
Yep.
So those for you big boys out there, we got you covered now. Yeah. Literally covered with a shirt.
Yeah. This next question was.
Next question.
What is the wildest shit you've ever seen in the wilderness? I think one of the most craziest experiences that I've personally had was when we were up in Flin Flon lake trout fishing in northern Canada when we had a mama caribou and are they cubs? Or what are they? Are they calves? They're calves.
Calves.
They're calves. Mama caribou.
Jacob's been hitting the head a lot, people. He played a lot of football. So, yeah. Anyway, keep going.
A mama caribou and her calf swam 3-4 feet from our boat from island to island.
Mm-hmm.
That was
That was cool.
That was some wild shit. I think I was like 12 or 13 maybe, and that blew my mind. Because one, I didn't know caribou swam island to island. I didn't even know they would just come that close to your boat.
I'd have to go back to another story of you being about 12 years old, as we were bow hunting on some state land, and you weren't really old enough to climb a tree yet, so I popped up a ground blind for you.
Oh.
You were old enough to hunt by yourself, but you had to use a climber stand on this public land, so you weren't quite set up for that yet.
No.
So I set you up in the ground blind, and I just went, 200 yards down the edge of the woods from you, so I could see you the whole time.
Yep.
And while I'm sitting there, all of a sudden to my left, a black bear comes out, and pretty big one. And we were hunting in the no quota zone, and so I always buy my bear tags for that area because they're over the counter, and you just never know when you're going to run into a bear when you're bow hunting. So some nights you're deer hunting, some nights you're bear hunting.
Yep.
This night the deer hunt turned into a bear hunt because I would say about 250-pound black bear popped out and was, working along the edge, eating acorns and whatnot, and I seen it look up, and it saw your ground blind, and then decided it was going to go check that out.
Yeah, I don't think it wasn't aggressive or anything, but it was definitely curious.
Definitely curious.
And my little 12-year-old self would have shit his pants.
That is a fact.
If a bear poked his head into my ground blind window.
So when that bear came by and he got about 30 yards broadside from me, I decided to send an arrow through him to put him down to avoid any. You just never know. Knowing you had snacks in that blind.
Of course I had snacks in that blind. Are you kidding me?
So he would have, he was going to jump in there with you. So I was like, well, tag in hand, this is a, opportunity. And plus, I had to put my superhero dad hat on, and shout out to, we just had Father's Day last weekend. So shout out to all you dads out there. But anyway, I made a nice shot on that bear, and he ran back in the woods, and, he expired back there. So, but crisis averted. So yeah, for me, that was probably the wildest thing. I mean, we've had a lot of you've seen a lot of stuff, a lot of crazy stuff, but that's probably one of the craziest.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, probably a lot of bow hunters know this one, but like when what type of hawk is it that they hunt the grouse, or they?
Oh, those. I call them a grouse hawk, but those woods hawks that about take you out of the damn tree stand.
They'll just fly right at you until they see you finally, and then they fan out right in 2 feet.
I think they see your eyes blink or your finger move a little bit when you're all camoed up, and they think you're a squirrel or something, and
they get pretty close.
Really close.
Yeah, those always scare
I hate them things.
Yep. I did feed an eagle a crappie one time near Nestor Falls. That was pretty cool.
That was cool. I'm not sure if that's legal or not, but we shouldn't talk about that. But it wasn't our fault because we were fishing crappies and we had them on the ice, and then the eagle just kind of came down and took them.
That is true. I definitely did not throw one in the air, and he definitely did not catch it.
No. I mean, why would they even do that? I mean,
that's crazy.
Why would a person even just do that for fun, just to see if they would do it, and, be like, well, we didn't do this, but if we did, we thought, well, let's share one with the eagle. What would that hurt?
That was what a proper American would do in foreign soil.
While in Canada. As long as you say America and pledge allegiance, I think it's fine. But anyway,
I think it's good.
Carry on. Next question.
This one I'll say who it is because he wants to know. My buddy Eric, he's always hunted, but not just hunted his grandpa's land, and he wants to know like what makes a spot good and what makes a spot bad. Like he's just used to hunting over a cornfield, which that's perfectly great. But he wants to know like what are good signs that tell you a good spot is good for hunting deer. I mean, one is like sign, just seeing deer there a lot, and tracks and deer shit. I mean, that's a good sign as well, but also just I feel like there are certain biomes that deer live in and certain biomes they don't.
Big word. So let's talk about, so it's situational, right? Depending upon where you are, what the terrain of the land looks like. There's farmland, there's the big woods, there's out west, there's, river bottoms, there's all kinds of stuff. Like you talked about looking for sign. I mean, that's a big, a deer is going to move through a piece of land a certain way. And usually, like if you sit back and you just scout for a little while, you'll see where the deer come out all the time. Like, the deer will have a certain trail that they like, and you may not be able to tell it, but it may be a spot where there's just a little dip in the land. There could be the way the woods lays out, just kind of funneling that deer, to that spot. It's easy for him to move out to the field to feed and then get back into cover there. The wind could be in his favor. Just kind of pay attention to stuff like that, and you'll see that, deer like to use this area, this trail or whatever, and that's a good way to kind of set up and decide where to be. I mean, scout almost more than you hunt. You can always scout and hunt at the same time, but scouting pays big time.
Yeah. I think just like deer need 3 things. They need food, shelter, and water. So
4 things.
4 things?
Need to get a little action in the fall to make some more babies.
Then you need does. If you find the does, you'll find the bucks. Well,
especially if you're rifle hunting in November.
Yep.
So if all of a sudden you're on a field edge that's got some crops out there that the does are coming out to feed at night, that's a pretty good chance a buck's going to be following them.
Yep.
So you just want to get your wind right and get set back. Don't sit right up on where they're coming out. Sit back, especially the rifle. You can sit back 100 or 200 yards or so from that trail and, try to be camouflage. You're wearing blaze orange, but just try not to be out there in the middle where they can see you. Try to be tucked back with some break up behind you.
Yep. Eric, you know what you're doing. You're in a good spot. I mean, you know that, so.
Yeah. But, at the same time, when you go hunt somewhere else, you got to hunt them where they are. I had a good friend of mine. He had a old saying that sounds very simple, but it's so true. And it's, in order to kill a big buck, you have to hunt where a big buck lives. The same thing goes with deer. You got to figure out where they live, what they're eating, where they're sleeping, what they're doing. So learn your deer, learn your area, boots on the ground, find those trails, get on the downwind side and put your time in and you'll get one.
Yep. This next question, this feller wants to know, so to find your future wife, what did you do? And he's laying out White Claws and gummy bears, but that doesn't seem to work.
This question, geez. Did you tell this guy that this ain't that type of hunting show?
I guess he wants to know. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm a fiance to a beautiful, beautiful woman, and hey, I'll give one tip is to find a South Dakota girl. Stay clear of East Minnesota. It ain't fun. If you're east of Bemidji, go west.
Geez, that is true. There's some truth there. I'm going to plead the fifth on all of this. I know nothing.
Hey,
I know nothing. All I know is, if you got a nice boat.
Yep.
You get yourself a good boat, a good fishing boat with plenty of room up front. It seems to be those, they seem to attract as a nice partner, for you. I'm not gonna, say that, if you get a nice boat, you're gonna have girls knocking at your door. But you know what? You're probably gonna, be in a position to pick up a few more than you were before without your boat. So, I'd say the key is to get a nice boat and find one that knows how to fish.
Yeah.
You can find the daughter of a guide somewhere.
Yep.
That would be key. Find a good fishing guide's daughter that, her dad has a nice boat. If you can't buy the boat of your own, that'd be the other way to go.
I would say if you're a Western, feller, find just a rancher with a ton of land with a lot of good animals on there. See, sometimes you gotta look.
That girl don't got to be that pretty.
I say every 1,000 acres, she adds a point of hotness.
And same thing goes for the girls. That guy don't have to be that good looking. If you're a good looking girl and you like to deer hunt, you find yourself a North Dakota 10. That's a dude who's a 2, but he's got 8 sections of land. They're out there. You just gotta keep looking.
In all seriousness, you find somebody that complements your strengths and strengthens your weaknesses, and
wow,
I think that's the best bet.
Wise words, Jacob. Wise words. This is not a show for marital advice. We're a hunting and fishing show. We can tell you how to catch walleyes and shoot bucks, but whoever this is out there, you need to look other places for advice like this.
Yep. As long as she lets you go hunting and fishing, she's a winner. The next question: money, without money in the equation, what would be your dream outdoor experience?
So when you mean without money in the equation, as in I have as much as I want and I can go do whatever I want?
Exactly.
So you have all the money in the world. Now it's just pick your dream hunt.
Yep.
Or hunts, for that matter.
I mean, the North American Grand Slam, that sounds pretty good.
It does.
But
with a bow.
Yeah, with a bow. Yep. I think personally, I've had this idea for a couple years now. I'm going to say, if I have all the money in the world, I'm getting the best guide to do an all expenses paid Alaskan caribou archery hunt.
You know, and normally I would be against getting a guide, but if you go to Alaska, you need a guide because the guide has the airplane.
Yep.
They have all the stuff. They know the guides up there. They do a great job. They're out there living with those animals. They know where they're at. They know how to operate safely in Alaska.
Yeah, I feel like, the lower 48, you can kind of go without a guide. But once you get into that, I think Alaska's, I mean, I'm definitely not too man enough to say that I would definitely take a guide to Alaska if no money is involved.
Yeah. And I would take one for elk hunting too. I mean, money, because it just takes so long to, there's a lot of people that can do it out there on their own and great for them. And, we've done it on our own, before. But, if I had the money, I wouldn't mind going to a nice private ranch. That's one of the things too, is that you're paying for,
experience.
You're not just paying for the animal, but you're paying for the experience. You're paying to get on the land. I wouldn't want somebody to hold my hand and take me the whole way, but provide me lodging, help me with the pack out, point me in the direction of where the elk have been, and then just let me go is what I would want. But
yep. And it's the same thing I want with the caribou is take me to the caribou, I'll do the rest.
Yeah. And it's good to hire a guide when you don't live in that state. Yeah. You spend so much time when you get out there just trying to find the animals, and a lot of times by the time you find them, it's almost time to go home again. So it's a huge advantage. This is controversial, so we're going to hear it from, and I hope we do. I want people to send in the comments why they don't like guides, why they like guides. Maybe we'll do a whole show on that one day.
Yeah.
But for me, I would have to go Yukon moose. And speaking of guides, if I got the money, I'm hiring Jim Shockey to be my guide.
That would be, yeah. I'll take him for caribou too.
Absolutely. You grew up watching his hunting show.
That's all I did grow up is watch Jim Shockey Outdoor Adventures.
Yeah. The same with me. That is a real special area up there in the Yukon, and all those mountain caribou and the Yukon moose and the grizzly. And money's no object. That's where I'm going.
Yeah.
And then plot twist. I probably even told you this yet, Jacob.
Yeah.
As I'm getting older, I now want to do Africa.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. I don't need to do the Super 6 or the dangerous whatever, but I would love just to be put in a blind over there with my bow and, shoot a nice impala, a gemsbuck, a wildebeest, a warthog, just all those great classic archery animals, kudu.
Those kudu.
Nalgai, to me that would be super cool to do. just I would love to. I read Fred Bear's book, and he talks about some of his African hunting adventures over there, and that would just be super cool to do.
Yep.
So
yeah, I feel like I wanna. I mean, I'm young, so maybe my mindset will change. But I feel like there's so much that North America has to offer that I wanna.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if you could, the sheep hunts, if you could afford them.
Oof, yeah, if I
I
could.
mean, there's so much money now.
You can climb up a mountain side.
Yeah, there's so many big elk out there in the West, and all these hard to draw states. And
I mean, as sketchy would be, I mean, Alaskan brown bear, that'd be pretty cool.
For sure.
I definitely want a guide on that one. At least somebody with a gun.
Yep. No, it's there's so much to do out there.
I think for fishing, I mean, I've never done this yet, but I know you have, but I would love to do an Alaskan salmon run.
For sure. Yeah, that's someone should, if you got a bucket list, you should be adding that, because there's I burnt out a spinning reel, burnt the drag and the gears right out of it, just catching 1 20-pound, salmon after another.
Yeah.
And these were cohos. They were big cohos. It's just a shout out to my buddy Andy up there. Hopefully he's listening to this podcast, but I know he's always inviting us to come up there. It's just we got to find the time and get ourselves on a plane and get up there. But we'll do that one day.
Yep.
Before I'm dead.
I get the whole deep sea fishing, but I just don't fuck with the ocean.
Yeah. The you watch too many shark movies. That Shark Week ruined Jacob, everyone, from ever going to the ocean fishing. But
I watch it.
I would like to do some deep sea fishing. I'd love to go catch some big monsters of the deep.
I'm scared of those fucking killer whales, because I know they're smart, and they'll see me and they go, yep, that guy's BMI is juicy. They definitely want a piece of me. I got a lot of junk in the trunk, and they're definitely taking a bite out of my ass. That's for sure happening. So, you all, you deep sea fishermen, I'll let you guys have that one. I'll stay in the lakes and the rivers. I understand Alaska, you gotta get pretty close to the ocean to do the salmon fishing, but upstream.
Yeah, you're not free from predators up there though either, because the coastal brown bears are there eating salmon as well. So
I understand that, but we're on an equal playing field.
I don't think there's a megalodon.
But I guarantee the one time I go in the ocean and a big wave knocks me off the boat, all of a sudden there's a megalodon.
You think they still exist, Jacob? You think they're still out there?
I mean, as a man of science, I'm going to say no. But as a man of just pure imagination and think it's cool as hell, definitely yes.
Yeah, you don't know. I mean, that ocean's pretty deep. I mean, you can't.
We've discovered more in our solar system that we have our own ocean.
That's facts.
I just don't fuck with the ocean. I mean, giant squid exist, and they are huge. They're bigger than whales.
Yes.
And whales are so big, you can swim through their aortic valves in their heart. You can walk right through it as a human being.
I thought you were going to say another A word of an orifice when you started that.
No.
Interesting.
You do that too. You just go right through. It's so big.
Yeah.
I've seen too many Instagram reels of a humpback or a sperm whale coming up out of the water and landing on a fishing boat and just murdering everybody. I'm not going in the ocean.
That reminds me, always wear your life preserver. This message brought to you by the Coast Guard.
So the killer whales can find you faster. This next question is, what is your favorite wild game or fish recipe or it says game to eat? I want to take the courtesy of just saying a venison tenderloin from the buck or doe you killed that evening is the best meal you'll ever have in your life.
Yeah, you get those tenderloins out and clean them up and slice them up and fry them up in some butter and just put them in some flour and some lollies and throw a little onion, maybe just a little bit of garlic in there with it. It's making my mouth water just talking about it.
Nothing better.
Dang, nothing better. It's a fact.
Turkey's good. Fish is amazing. I've had elk it's amazing. It's probably the healthiest meat you can eat. But there's something about a whitetail tenderloin who's been eating corn, soybeans, and and just a big, it's got a thick layer of fat on them. Just a healthy. Honestly, sometimes a healthy doe just has the best tenderloin meat on the planet.
I'm sorry you didn't say spike buck, because I can't get you to quit killing those things when they come by you.
If you're a spike buck and you're listening to this somehow, if you're advanced enough, don't walk within bow range. You're getting dropped.
It's your tag, but here's where we differ. And there's a lot of hunters out there. They're just like, I just want to fill my freezer. I'm just out there to shoot whatever deer comes by. And I'm like, hey, more power to you.
And if you're one of those special select few, we have a shirt just for you.
That's true. I forgot about the freezer filler shirt.
Freezer filler, designed after my own hunting style.
Yep.
Called Eichler. He's the man he knows. If everyone in the hunting world knows Fred Eichler, and he's a man of filling the freezer.
He does not let many bucks of any kind walk by him.
Nope.
Sometimes it's a big one. Sometimes it's a little one.
He's a personal hero of mine.
But I had one year when I was bow hunting in southwestern Minnesota. I passed up 18 bucks in one season before I finally shot the buck that, well, it was a decent enough buck for me but we've talked about this. This is a rite of passage everyone's got to go through. I've shot a lot of deer in my life, and I just got to that point. And I'm not saying that I don't shoot a smaller deer from time to time. I shot a small buck last year that his rack wasn't anything to be, his rack was small. His body was big, but that was the biggest deer I had an opportunity at with my bow. And like you said, Jacob, you got to fill the freezer. But there's also times that I would like to let them go so they can grow up. This buck had a scrubby rack that I shot that he just didn't have the genetics to grow into anything that I thought. Anyway, it's whatever you like to shoot. I'm all for you. Do
you have a favorite besides tenderloin?
Game recipe?
Yeah. One that's surprising that I think many people don't understand. Well, maybe they do, but we do this when we do shoot a grouse. We don't grouse hunt that intensely, but we always, we'll go out for a couple especially during deer season in the midday, do a couple grouse rounds. Is you slice them up and you make grouse chicken strips. You just fry them like a chicken strip, and they are delightful.
Tasty.
I don't know many people who don't fry their grouse meat. I know some people, they bake them and stuff, but hey, grouse chicken strips, try them out.
Yeah, they're pretty good. It's so seasonal for me. We roll through the seasons here. We're in fishing season now, so we've had a couple really good fish fries here lately.
Yeah,
I've enjoyed those a lot. Fish is so easy because you can cook it so many ways. You can pan fry it in butter. You can bake it. You can fry it up in some shore lunch. We've been rocking the beer batter lately.
Oh, yeah.
Easy to do. Plus, you can have a beer with it while you're cooking.
Yeah, of course, you gotta finish the other half of beer that you don't use.
That's right. So, it's a win-win, and then it makes a good fish fry as well. It's, so it's so tough for me. And then same thing, like you said, roll into fall. I love those first meals of, backstrap and tenderloins, and, even we'll take the heart out and fry that up. And if people have never had it, probably think that sounds kind of strange, but
pretty good.
You take that out and slice it up, and same thing, fry it up with some onions and garlic and butter. And
if you mix that up with your backstraps, and I dare you to give a plate of just they look the same. I honestly sometimes I can't tell.
Yep. So slice them up. It's just so good, and then getting some of those, he gets back and getting those fish out of, them cold ice fishing walleyes, they taste great. And, and then it's fun to make stuff out of your venison and, and all your deer meat and your turkey meat, making sausages. And, I mean, summer sausage for your lunch. And,
Yep.
It's just, so it's hard for me to pick a favorite. I guess I like the answer to that is just whatever's in season is, what I'm all about at that time, Right now I'm just digging the fish fries, so.
Yeah, well, I think our last question that we'll end on is, if you could have a hunting or fishing do-over, what would it be and why? And I think,
a do-over.
That's a good question.
Yeah. Well, I'd have to decide which one of the $50 that I've missed I'd want to go back and have a crack at.
I know exactly. I know. I'm going to talk about the buck tank. We were out western North Dakota, and we had this buck on show camera that was just, we called him Tank because he was just heavy. What was he, a natural, like 10 or 12? He was huge. But he was just a stud of a buck. And I was sitting in this pine tree, and I sat there for 5 or 6 hunts in a row, just knowing he'd come out there eventually. And he poked his head out behind this pine tree, and all I could see was his neck. He was covering his shoulder behind the tree. And I was shooting a muzzy, and he was like 15 yards. And all I needed him to do was take one step. And I regret to this day not sending a muzzy MX3 right through his neck and just spining him. But I know it's not the most great shot, but I know I'm pretty accurate, I'll say. And I know I could have just downed him right there, but I knew I wanted a hard shot or a double lung him because he was such a big buck. But if I had a do-over, I think I would have just nailed him. I mean, a muzzy, that's going to shower some bones.
Yeah, that's a risky shot. I don't think,
I don't know.
It's easy to look back and say like, oh, I should have took that because you know what it can do, but at the same time, we would never take a shot like that.
No, and there's a reason I didn't. I always take the highest percent shot, and there was a buck last fall that I had the same thing. All I could see was his neck, and he was even bigger, but I'm not going to take that shot. Do I wish I could have went back and perfectly severed his spinal cord and his, and just like dropped him right there at 15 yards? Yes, but in hindsight, I wouldn't have changed it. But
maybe went and trimmed a few limbs.
I think though, if I'm really being honest, was maybe not dumping my quiver when I only had a 60-yard pin at that giant velvet buck at 90 yards that I didn't even get close to because I only had a 60-yard pin at the time when I was 15 years old.
Yeah, it's
maybe could have sat still a little longer and see if he could have came in, but
yeah, bow hunting, there's so many of those stories that shoulda, woulda, coulda, should have stayed a little longer, should have set up over here,
Oh my gosh, I mean,
should have been paying attention a little more, should have drew quicker, there's just too many. It's just part of hunting, sometimes the deer got to win too, I always say.
Yeah.
And
I mean, there's that time ice fishing, I caught that big pike on Lake of the Woods that, were we using an 8-inch hole or?
Yeah, we always use an 8-inch hole because
the pike wouldn't fit through it. We had it vertical. It was long. It had to have been close to 50, definitely 45 or higher, but it was so fat. I mean, you had your arm, shoulder length down the hole. And you had
and there was like 3 feet of ice too.
Yeah, and you had it, and there's just nothing we could do. So we just had to, and you had
too big of shoulders.
Yep. It just,
and we've pulled some big ones through 8-inch holes. I mean, I've pulled all kinds of 40-inch pike through an 8-inch hole. We've pulled 30-inch walleyes up in Winnipeg, and it's harder for the fish to turn around in the hole if they come unhooked, and it's just I don't know, it's easier to drill holes. You got to worry as much about dropping stuff down there.
Yeah.
It's just never been I don't think you need a 10-inch auger personally.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously if I was going after lake trout, really big fish, I'd probably want to take, probably drill 3 10-inch holes in a clover leaf overlapping, so I had lots of room to fight one of those big monsters. But,
that's another That's another dream outdoor experience of mine would be just to go giant lake trout ice fishing, which we could do, but just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, we'll get that done here one of these days. It's hard to
It's hard to leave
you
alone
gotta
in the woods.
well, and you gotta bank that vacation, so you can't do everything.
Yep.
We're just a couple working guys still, so we're just like everybody else who's gotta pick and choose where they want to go and use their vacation wisely, and you still got to do stuff with the family, and so yeah, you got to balance that out. But no, it's such a fun lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean,
hunting and fishing, and
there's so many woulda, coulda, shouldas, but that's what also makes them memorable. You
you got to have stuff go wrong for it to be a good hunt.
Yeah.
And then it makes you, when everything finally comes together too, you just appreciate it so much more, and it's just makes it all worthwhile. So
yeah, no, I don't think I would change anything, even though I wish I could.
yeah, no, it'd have been nice to know he was coming though, because maybe if you would have been,
the problem was there was a doe, there was a little
and a buck,
tank buck, there was a little spike buck. Let's be honest here. I was looking at a spike buck to my right, because where I was sitting, there was two trails, and I was in a pine tree, and I could shoot two directions. And I was sitting, looking at this spike buck, just thinking,
I should shoot this spike buck.
But I know there's a really, really, really big buck here. I mean,
shot the spike buck, my dad would be really mad at me.
For sure, 160 plus, this buck was.
Oh, for sure.
Every day.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 170 something, but he was huge.
He was pushing that booner status.
Yep.
For those of you who don't know him.
And then I heard a twig snap, and I just slowly pan over, and I just see and he had a white rack also. That's how we noticed. That's when we knew it was him. And I just look over, and I just see just this giant rack staring up at me. And all I could see was his neck. And I had my bow, because I was about to shoot this little spike buck. I was, so I was like, I just need him to look away and take a step, and I could draw and whack this guy. But, greedy young Jacob strikes again and wants to shoot the spike buck.
That happens.
Hey, but also, I've shot some big bucks. They just happened to be the first deer I saw that day.
Yeah, that helps. That helps your odds of... No, it's all about what you want out of the experience. People want to shoot a deer that they like. I'd say let it have it. Yeah. So,
well,
plus that gets you tagged out and then gets you out of the woods. So then I got a chance of getting the big buck. So,
well, that's true. I was gonna say, I'm like, well, if I shoot the small ones, you can shoot the big ones. So, helps to work as a team.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to all the listeners and all the people who ask questions, and we appreciate it, and makes a fun podcast for us. And we'll wrap this one up here, and unless you want to add anything there, Jeremy, or...
Well, I just would also like to say thank you to everybody that's listening to us. We're trying to, we're going to try to keep this light and fun, and, and also help you guys be successful out there in the outdoors. That's our goal, is we want to help people. We want to share some of the things that work for us, and hopefully it helps you, fill your freezer.
Or learn from our mistakes.
Absolutely. Or, we can just have some good, fun hunting and fishing conversations that help pass the time when you're plugging away at work, and
for
need something to help you get through that day. Road trips, yeah, absolutely.
Heading out to the woods, whatever. We appreciate everybody who listens, and appreciate our support systems, and
tell your friends.
Yep,
tell your friends.
And
follow, like, share, subscribe.
This will be.
Let us know what you want to hear. If you like what we're doing, we'll keep doing what we're doing. If you don't like what we're doing, well, we don't care. No, we care.
Yeah.
Let us know what you want to hear too. We got a lot of stuff. So.
Yep. Yeah, we're on.
Well, close her down, Jakey.
I will.
Close her down.
Shout out to all the fathers for Father's Day. Thanks for everybody, and thank you, Dad, for being the best guide, butcher, caller, dragger, and just best hunting buddy I could ask for. And just all you dads out there, and all us kids out there, we thank you lots and lots, and we owe you way too much. But this has been the Lindemann Outdoor Podcast. Thank you guys for listening. You can follow us on our social medias, which are just our names, Jacob and Jeremy Lindemann. Follow us on YouTube, Lindemann Outdoors. Our podcasts are on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, and soon to be Apple Music. We got tall sizes and also a sneak peek. We will be having a 4th of July drop for all you prideful and patriotic Americans out there. So stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching.